Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming. So today, I'd like us to think about such things. What things in general? We'll start with Philippians, from which this quote is taken. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Philippians 4:8. There's actually been a whole book written about this by Tommy Newberry, and it's basically, he's a life coach. He's been doing this for 25 years, and he basically teaches people biblical-based concepts of how to keep your mind above the fray, how to keep your mind focused on God, in other words, despite all the distractions coming at every single one of us every single day. So the classical hero's journey, which was studied by Joseph Campbell, who was very interested in myths, mythologies from around the world, it comes down to one thing. And by the way, for those of you who are Star Wars buffs, it was George Lucas who consulted with Joseph Campbell on how to come up with a script for Star Wars. And so the script of Star Wars follows this basic mythology that's been outlined in world religions and world mythologies. And that is basically that the hero ventures forth from the world of common day into a region of supernatural wonder. Fabulous forces are encountered, and decisive victory is won. The hero then comes back from the mysterious adventure with the power to bestow blessings on his fellow men. So that's the classic human hero's journey. We are all, in a sense, on a hero's journey. We are born into this world naked and ignorant, and we embark from that day on a journey. Where we end up is really much dependent on what we do in between the moment we're born to the moment we're taken out of the world. What we have to remember is that we are social beings, and we have this profound need to understand what's going on around us and belong and to be wanted, to be needed, either by our family or our family at large, the world at large. The technology that we are experiencing today, which we designed, which we created as human beings, social media in particular, taps directly into these needs. But it can soon become extremely addictive because it plays on our needs, our fundamental, deep-rooted needs as human beings, a need to understand what's going on around us, a need to be wanted, a need to be connected. From day one, if you were kicked out of your tribe, what would happen to you? Yeah. Basically, it was not good. The prognosis was basically death. You know, if you get kicked out of your tribe, then you're basically out on your own, and you basically can't survive without your tribe to help. You know where the word fired comes from? It comes from being kicked out of your tribe, but just to make the point clear, people would go to your hut and they would torch it to the ground. And so you were fired, and you had no place to live in that tribe, in that community. You had to wander and hopefully get received by the next tribe. Otherwise, your days were numbered. But this social media has become a bit of a problem. We are distracted, fragmented, instead of just having this technology that helps us to communicate. For instance, it's very handy for people who are separated from their families to go onto social media and find out how people are doing in their families, and to even connect to them via the technology that's available now, to talk to them face to face even though they're in another country. But it has become a problem, and it is distracting us to death, literally. So, mobile phones. How many of us have mobile phones? Okay, that's a huge majority of people. Okay, what's another name for a mobile phone? Is a distraction device. And this technology, not just useful, also invasive. And all we've done, instead of just becoming productive, we actually sped up the treadmill. Back in the day, it might be hard for you to understand if you're younger than 18. We used to write these things called letters, and we used to put a lot of care and thought into the language we were using, and make corrections, and sometimes go through 5 or 6 different letters before we finally sent. And you'd have to fold it up, you'd have to put it in an envelope, you'd have to write the address, you have to put a stamp on it, take it to the post office. And the whole thing was a real careful production of like, what do I want to say to this person? How do I want to say it? In what manner do I want to say it in? And then we would consider it and then send it. Abraham Lincoln was well known for his combativeness, but you wouldn't know it from his presidency, because he was gathering people. You know, there's a famous book called A Team of Rivals, and basically he surrounded himself in the best possible way, that is, with people with competing ideas. And then he would hear the best of both sides, and then he would be the one in the middle to consider and make judgment. But sometimes there were disappointments in his life, and he would write a letter to that person or that general and express his outrage and his frustration and his anger towards that general, and then guess what he would do? Fortunately for Lincoln, maybe, he didn't have a click send button. He would fold that letter, put it in his drawer, and then, you know, the human emotion would calm down. He would read the letter again, and then he would tear it up and throw it away, because he realized it was inappropriate. He had expressed his anger. He had found what he actually wanted to say in the process of expressing his anger without the other person hearing it. And then he would write another letter expressing exactly what he wanted to express without all the baggage attached to it. And in that way, he was well loved and a very effective commander-in-chief. Nowadays, of course, it's different. You get angry about something and you send it out into the Twitterverse or Instagram or whatever, and instant regret. Like, whoa, I didn't mean to say that. And then, of course, we're seeing all these celebrities getting into trouble with this kind of thing. Because, you know, in a moment of frustration or drowsiness or whatever the case may be, they send something out and then it ruins their career. So, this is a problem. And not only that, but there's other things too. But we've sped up that treadmill. The other thing is that now we're being tracked because of our phones, because we want these free apps. In exchange for the free apps, the people marketing these apps, they want something from you. They want your information, they want access to your contacts, they want access to this, they want access to that, they want to track you, they want to go wherever you go, they want to know which stores you go to, how long you spend there, etc., etc. Marketers of products have more information on you now than ever before in human history. They know what you want, they know where you go, they know how long you spend there, pretty much more than people in their own family know. There's this famous story of this man who storms into the Target store and demands to see the manager. And the manager comes and says, "Yes, sir, how can I help you?" He says, "You're sending all these ads to my daughter. about pregnancy and childbirth and all these baby things. What are you trying to put in her head? And the manager apologizes. I'm so sorry. I'm not in charge of the marketing or anything like that. I'm sorry. I'll talk to my boss and see if we can do something about that. He says, good. And then 2 weeks later, the man comes back. He says, I want to see the manager. And the manager comes in and says, oh, you still getting those ads? And he says, no, I'm sorry. I just came here to apologize. I found out last night that my daughter is pregnant. And she's expecting a child, and I had no idea about it, but apparently Target knew before his own father knew that this woman was going to have a child, and so they were marketing all the baby clothes and all this stuff. It's scary how much the marketing universe knows about you, more than you actually realize. But that's the world we're living in. So we're speeding up the treadmill. What's the result of this? The result of this is that we're overstimulated, we're overstressed, we're overscheduled, we're overwhelmed, and as a result of that, we're underproducing, we're underachieving, we're unfulfilled, we're anxious, and we're discouraged. So the technology has given us superpowers, the power to contact people on the other side of the world instantly, which is amazing if you think about it. That's a superpower. Hey, I think I'll talk to someone in England. Wow, you must have a really loud voice. Yes. But we struggle with how we use this technology effectively. So our main problem today is not really a knowledge problem, because we know everything. We know how to become a better student, a better parent, a better husband, a better wife. We know how to become a better worker, a better leader, a healthier person. And if you don't know how or what to do, you can
ask Siri. Google it.
That's right! You can Google it. You can ask Siri. You can ask Alexa. They'll tell you. You can't think of anything so, insignificant that these devices don't have an answer for you, or 10 answers for you. So, our biggest problem today, I repeat, is not a knowledge problem. We know what to do, but we're just not doing it. And why not? The reason is because our biggest problem today is a self-management problem. We are doing poorly at managing ourselves. And self-mastery is our biggest battle. In the Special Armed Forces, they have this credo, which is humans before hardware. And what they mean by that is that the tools are helpful, but only when they're in the hands of a master. If they're in the hands of someone who's unable to deal with those tools, they can be disastrous. So, the most important skill that we need to learn, that our second gen, our third gen, do we have fourth gen already? Need to learn in today's world is learning to control our attention. We need to prevent distractions, and we need to keep focus. Because humans have never been so bombarded with so much intensely distracting information as we are today. To stay on track and focused in today's world, we need to be actively involved in managing these distractions. This is what our founder said. He says, look at the world. How many people are drifting around like raving lunatics, agonizing of whether to live or die, questioning life and committing suicide? It was a real concern, even to Reverend Moon several decades ago. And now, it's only gotten worse. So what can we do? Well, first of all, we need to understand what's going on. And by that, I don't just mean that the technology has advanced exponentially. By that, I don't just mean that whilst you're sitting here, your technology is upgrading in your pocket. as you speak. By the time you go to your cell phone the next time, it's already upgraded the next app. It's already upgraded to the next level. Meanwhile, you're stuck with this 200,000-year-old programming system called your brain and body. And it hasn't been upgraded once in 200,000 years. And you're dealing with that compared to all the technology that's coming at you. Well, I just want to say, on some level, how can we compete with technology? How can we compete with machines? Think of something that machines can do better than you. Can machines catch up faster than humans can? Yes. Can machines make vehicles faster than humans can? Yes. Can machines endure long hours on the manufacturing line without a break than humans? Yes. So machines actually can do so many things much better than we can do. But what is the one thing that machines don't have? They don't have creativity. Yes, and they don't have a heart. But what I really want to get to is they don't have a conscience. What I really want to get to is the reason why we're put on earth is not so that we can create things that are better than us. The reason why we're here on earth is because each and every one of us has a superpower. Each and every one of us has amazing potential, far beyond what a machine can emulate or replicate. Okay? Even the science fiction movies, they always show the shortcomings of machines. In those movies, the machines are far more advanced than they are yet today. But even so, human beings somehow have something much more precious and much more difficult to replicate than what machines are able to achieve or accomplish. And that is the part that makes us human. And that is the part that we have to allow to flourish and grow. So what I want to introduce to some of you is this concept of 3 brains. And each brain, you thought you only had one brain, right? Each part of this brain, our brains are divided into 3. Just go with me on this one. Okay? He's not a neurosurgeon. So each brain has a competing agenda. And so what are these brains? Let's call them the robot brain. Okay, the robot brain is your fundamental brain. It's your basic instinctual brain. It's the brain that regulates temperature, comfort levels. Do you have enough food? Are you safe from predators? If there's a projectile coming towards you, do you stop and consider what angle it's coming at? Or do you just duck? Okay? This brain is very efficient. In fact, it's so efficient that most of you who drove here can't even remember the drive because you were driving using this brain. Once, you see, that's the beauty of this brain. Once you've programmed it, you don't even need to think about it. The adults in the room, you don't need to think about driving because you've done it so many times, you're so used to it, you know where everything is. But think back, or have you been teaching your teenager to drive recently? It's a bit of a process. There's a lot of stuff going on. You know, you're doing the ignition, the steering wheel, what's in front, what's on your left, what's on your right, what's behind you, what's in front, what's on the left, what's in the right. Oh, don't forget to drive. Oh, you got to do that too. And then if you're doing a stick shift, and you have to think about a lot of things as well. So, but we do all that automatically because we've programmed it and we've shoved it into our robot brain. Now, that's the robot brain. What we also have is a monkey brain. Now, the monkey brain is the creative part of you that's like, oh, what's going on? I want to know. Oh, shiny. Oh, let's go onto Facebook, find out what, oh, she's a nice dress. Let's find out who made it. Oh my gosh, you're getting married? Oh my God, who's this person? Who are they related to? Who are they related to? Who are they? And we're always just jumping down rabbit holes. everywhere we go. And social media is guilty of stimulating the monkey brain. It's like dangling a banana in front of a monkey. It will go nuts. So just imagine, that's the part of you that's running around, getting distracted. You're sitting here right now. The monkey brain is like, I don't really want to sit here. I'm getting kind of hungry. Actually, what's interesting? Oh, what's she wearing? What's he wearing? I didn't see him before. What was he doing last week? Oh, that's the monkey brain. The robot brain is just tolerating all this, like, okay, we'll get through this. I know there's nothing beneficial here except we don't seem to be in any danger right now. That's good. We'll keep it that way. But the third brain is probably the weakest of the three brains, and that's our sage brain. That is the brain, that is the part of the brain that is uniquely human. Because on a genetic level, we are only 1.6% different from chimpanzees.
I knew that. All of us?
Maybe in your case there's an exception. But the part of us that makes us uniquely and distinctly human is this part of our brain which seeks something more than just safety and food and reproduction and interesting things growing on the trees. It's a part of our brain that aspires for something greater. It's the part of our brain that connects with God, with the descendants. We're thinking about the future, we're thinking about the past, we're considering who we are, what's our purpose, what's the meaning of life, and so on and so forth. Now, with those three brains, with the different competing agendas, how would you break up the different percentages of power? Here's an estimate, and again, I'm not a neuroscientist, but 95% of your attention and your effort is automatic. From the moment you wake up, you remember how to walk. You don't have to consciously think about it like a toddler. You roll out of bed, you go and brush your teeth. You're not like, toothbrush, toothpaste, what do I do? It's automatic. And you flow into the living room or the kitchen and you make yourself some coffee and you're drinking the coffee. You don't have to consciously think about how to make coffee. You've done it 1,000 times. And you drink that and you eat your cereal and you do this and you do that. It's all automatic. You drive here. Hello, nice to see you. It's automatic, Oh, who was that? I don't know. It's we are just on autopilot 95% of the time. The other 5% is distractions. Oh, I'm bored. I want to do something. Oh, what am I going to do? Oh, what is he doing? What are they doing? What did he do? Blah, blah, blah. Okay? And then, if there's any room at all, after all of this, the sage brain is like, behave yourself. Show some dignity. Be nice. Be altruistic. What? You can imagine the dialogue going on inside of us. So what I want to say is, with that information, what our challenge is to make room for the sage brain to come through. That means, what do we have to do to the monkey?
Tame it.
Tame it. Restrain it. Put it in a cage. Or just
Kill it. Eat it. Cook it.
Here's Sun Myung-moon's suggestion. The body focuses on itself. It seeks pleasure. If you chase after it, you will be ruined. That is reality. So, we need to be liberated from Satan and liberated from a satanic lifestyle. Lifestyle means culture. We need to be liberated from such a lifestyle. So, our challenge in today's world is we need to establish helpful habits that we can then turn over to the robot brain. We need to rein in the monkey brain, train the monkey. So, if I come up to you and I ask you, how's the monkey training going? You'll know what I'm talking about. I don't have a monkey. Also, the third thing is we need to create an environment where the sage brain can come out and can flourish. As the video at the beginning suggested, you know, you could be sitting on $1 million idea, but it's being crowded out by the monkey going nuts over bananas and dresses and vacations and what's their lifestyle like and how come mine isn't the same, blah, blah, blah. Does anyone know the story of Odysseus? Well, Odysseus has a solution that all of us can learn from. This is his solution. That's him in the middle. So, the sirens are this type of mythological creature that sang such beautiful songs to the sailors as they came by, that the sailors would just, so much beauty, they would leap overboard and swim and die on the shore. And that was their situation. Odysseus, he understood what was going on, but he was curious. He really wanted to know how good these sirens sang. So he instructed his men. He said, okay, I heard this story about these sirens. Apparently they've got really great music and everybody just dies for it. I really want to hear it, but I heard it's really dangerous. So, what I want you guys to do is tie me to a mast, and if I beg you and implore you and plead with you to let me go, do not let me go. I must stay tied to the mast. Understand? Yes. He's the boss. Yes, boss. And in the meantime, you guys plug your ears with wax. So they plugged their ears with wax. They rowed their boat close to where the sirens were. The sirens sang out their beautiful music. Odysseus was like, oh yeah, untie me, please, oh yeah. And they're like, no. Kept rowing, and they just tied them tighter, kept rowing, and eventually they were clear of the siren's song, and he was able to be untied. Or maybe they just kept him there. Hey, this is a brilliant mutiny. Didn't even have to shed any blood. Sweet. No, he untied him. The point is that this is how you deal with distractions in the historic era, before social media. Now, I'm thinking about this for my children, but I don't know. It's probably not going to work. Child services might be knocking on my door. Your children have rope burns on their wrists, sir. What's going on in your household? So what we really need to do is we need to harness and redirect power. And I can't think of a better analogy than Aikido, where you have a powerful man coming up against a weaker woman physically, and she's able to kick his ass by just redirecting his power, throws this big, heavy, lumbering man to the ground with apparent ease. And it's all in technique, and it's all in learning. So this is what we need to do. We can't kill the monkey. Okay? We can't tie up our children. Well, maybe you can, but it's not legal. So this is what we need to do. Buckminster Fuller said, if you want to teach people a new way of thinking, don't bother trying to teach them. Instead, give them a tool, the use of which will lead to new ways of thinking. Very wise. So what we need to do is we need systems and structures, because systems and structures create freedom. At first you think, oh no, system and structure. The monkey brain is like, no, I don't like systems and structures. I just like bananas. Well, this is the deal. Systems and structures create freedom. If you think about, if any of you have traveled to foreign countries, maybe you've been to one that's in, say, a third world country that doesn't have as good or as advanced a legal system as we do. And maybe you've driven on those roads where a red light, what does a red light mean? It means stop in this country. But apparently it doesn't mean the same thing in other cultures. Because a red light is just it's just a suggestion, you know. It doesn't actually mean anything. No one's actually enforcing what a red light means, and so everybody's interpreting it different. Okay? Red light means slow down. A red light means speed up. A red light means it could mean whatever you want.
Close your eyes.
When you think about music, you know, think about somebody who's learning the violin. You can just feel the electricity going down your spine just thinking about that. Okay, the noise, the But then again, you listen to jazz and you think, okay, this sounds similar, but it's not. It's somehow kind of cool. And what's the difference? There's actually a structure going on that you're not aware of if you're not a musician, but there is a structure there. And if you think about the fact that there's only a limited number of notes on a piano, and yet unlimited number of songs, in other words, freedom, can be coming from those limitations. Once you learn the rules, you're free. Once you learn the rules of the language, you're free to express yourself however you want. Think about a sports game. The rules and regulations create freedom. If there wasn't, imagine that. I think there are some sports that they play with villages against each other, and it's just, well, at least they used to. I'm not sure if it's legal anymore. But they used to, it used to be all kinds of violence. It's like, it was early form of soccer. It was just get the ball from one village to another. How do we do that, boss? Well, clubs, sticks, punch, kick, or whatever. You know, it doesn't really matter. As long as you don't kill the person, just get it from this village to the next village. That's our rule. So we need to create those systems in our own life in order for us to flourish, in order for us to tame the monkey, in order for us to transfer those good systems into our robot brain so that the robot brain can just do them. Because once we transfer them onto the robot brain, they are done. They're as good as done. The robot brain is extremely efficient with doing things. And it's basically taking over. You know, you try to think about ways in which you're trying to control your robot brain, and it's like saying, just relax, I got this, you know? So that's your robot brain. Here's something that our founder said. He said, we must put together all our devoted effort to focus our thoughts solely on God's will for us. If something else is mixed in, you will not be able to travel in a straight line. You will not be able to walk the path of love. And so again, we go back to Philippians 4:8. Brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. How? How are we going to do that? That's the challenge. I think we can all agree that we need to have these kind of thoughts in our mind. I think we can all agree that we all have that sage brain inside of us that wants better things for ourselves and others. But how are we going to allow that to happen with all the distractions that are bombarding us on a day-to-day basis? In my next sermon, I want to go into more detail about the social media and run some very shocking statistics by you to help you, me, us understand how deeply rooted this issue is and how we really need to pay attention to it. But in the meantime, what I'd like to finish with is simply to ask you to consider that there are warring parts of you. They have different agendas. And the sage brain is the weakest of all three. And it is the most important part of you. Otherwise, we're just chimpanzees running around crazily like lunatics, as Reverend Moon said. But we don't want to be living our life in such a manner. We have so much potential. We have so much inside of us that we want to share, or we can share, and make this world a better place. Each and every one of us has something to contribute that's truly magnificent. But in order for that to happen, we have to tame the monkey. So I'd like us to finish with a discussion on this topic. Please join me in prayer. Thank you so much for this opportunity that we have to discuss these issues. And I'd like to thank you, our Heavenly Father, for giving us this opportunity to consider how many distractions are coming at us, and if we are not giving enough time to focus on you, to focus on the core part of ourselves, and we're just allowing the interesting and dynamic part of ourselves to run rampant, to run wild, then we're not going to be able to steer this ship into the port. So we have to pay attention to who we are fundamentally. On a fundamental level, we are your children, and we need to understand that relationship deeply. So help each and every one of us to think about ways in which we can control our addiction to distraction, and ways in which we can lengthen the amount of time we spend in consideration of the most important things in life. Help us to create an environment in which we can flourish as individuals, as families, and as a community. This is so important in this day and age especially. So we thank you once again for reminding us, for helping us, for giving us this content to remind us of who we are in this world of distraction. We thank you and we offer you this prayer through Christ our Lord, our Jew and Amen.